The rain fell in soft, steady sheets against the windows, making the old house smell of wet earth and warmth. Emma sat on the edge of the couch, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. She could hear the gentle tick of the clock and the distant hum of traffic outside, but her thoughts were elsewhere, spinning in a mix of excitement and fear. Across from her, her mother, Claire, sat with a calm, almost mischievous look on her face. She held her cup of tea with a delicate grip, her eyes fixed on Emma as if reading every unspoken word. Emma's stomach fluttered. She had known that her mother liked surprises, that she enjoyed planning things behind her father's back. But this was different. This was daring, dangerous, thrilling. She couldn't quite explain why, but a shiver of anticipation ran down her spine. "Mum, are you sure this is a good idea?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Claire's smile widened, gentle and secretive. "It's perfect," she said softly. "We've thought it through. No one will know. Not your father. Not even your brother. It will be our little secret." Emma bit her lip. The idea of hiding something from her father made her stomach twist, a knot of guilt and excitement forming. She loved her father. He was kind, reliable, protective, but he could also be rigid, always expecting everything to stay exactly the way it was. And this plan, this secret, felt like a small rebellion, a spark of freedom in a life that sometimes felt too controlled. Claire reached across the coffee table and took Emma's hand. The warmth of her touch grounded her, calmed her racing thoughts. "We have to be careful," Claire said, her voice low and steady. "If we are, no one will ever know. And it will be worth it." Emma's pulse quickened. She nodded, not trusting her voice, because words might betray the storm of emotions inside her. They spent the evening leaning close together, whispering. In the soft light of the living room, plans, ideas, contingencies, everything was laid out between them, every step carefully considered. Emma felt herself drawn closer to her mother in a way that was both comforting and exhilarating. It was more than just planning a secret. It was trust, connection, a silent promise that they could face anything together. The house felt unusually quiet, like it was holding its breath along with them. Upstairs, her father was in his study, reading, oblivious to the world they were building in the shadows. The normalcy of the house, her father's gentle snoring, the faint clink of his pen on paper contrasted sharply with the electric energy in the room. It made Emma feel both guilty and alive, every heartbeat loud in her chest. Claire leaned back and took a slow sip of her tea. "Tomorrow we start," she said. Her eyes shone with quiet determination. "Everything has to go perfectly, Emma. One mistake and it's over. But I trust you. You're ready." Emma nodded, though her stomach twisted. She wanted to be brave, wanted to feel the thrill instead of the fear. "I'll do it," she whispered, almost to herself. "I'll be careful." Night crept over. The house, the rain softened into a gentle drizzle, and the shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch longer, almost like silent witnesses. Emma tried to focus on the plan, on the excitement, but her mind kept wandering to what could happen if they were caught. What would her father say? Would he be disappointed? Angry? Would he understand why they felt the need to do this? Claire noticed the hesitation in her daughter's eyes and squeezed her hand. "Emma, I know it's scary, but sometimes the things worth doing are the ones that make your heart race. You'll see, it will feel incredible." Emma took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. She imagined the steps they would take tomorrow, every small action perfectly synchronized. The thought of doing it together made her chest tighten with anticipation. For the first time in a long while, she felt like they were in control of something that was theirs alone. The hours passed quickly, filled with whispered instructions and soft reassurances. Claire showed Emma how to hide things, how to move without making a sound, and how to watch for signs that might reveal them. Every lesson, every tip felt like a bond, a secret language only they understood. Emma realized she had never felt this close to her mother before. There was a thrill in the secrecy, a gentle intimacy in sharing something so daring with someone you loved. By the time the clock struck midnight, the house was still, the kind of silence that made even the smallest creak sound like an alarm. Emma finally allowed herself to relax against the couch, exhaustion and excitement mingling. Claire reached over and brushed a loose strand of hair from Emma's face. A soft, comforting gesture. "We'll be ready," she whispered. "No one will know. Not tonight. Not ever." Emma nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. She wanted to believe her mother completely, and deep down, she did. The promise of tomorrow was like a light in the darkness. And for a moment, everything felt possible. As Emma closed her eyes to sleep, she felt the warmth of her mother's hand still lingering on hers, the quiet confidence of Claire's presence wrapping around her. But somewhere, at the edge of her thoughts, a tiny flicker of unease remained. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, might be watching them, even in this quiet house. Her imagination raced with possibilities, but she pushed the thought aside. Tonight was for planning. Tonight was for secrets. And tomorrow they would begin. Outside, the wind rose again, shaking the trees, rustling the leaves against the windows. Inside, Emma felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration, a thrill that made her pulse quicken. She knew the next day would be the true test, the moment when all their careful planning would either succeed or falter. As sleep began to take her, Emma clutched the secret close to her chest, feeling the weight and the warmth of it at the same time. It was more than a plan. It was trust, courage, and a bond that only she and her mother shared. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the house, that secret waited, ready to be tested by the coming day. The morning sunlight spilled through the curtains, painting the room in a warm, golden glow. Emma woke with a start, the remnants of last night's excitement still fluttering in her chest. Today was the day. The plan she and her mother had whispered over, the secret that had kept them awake and trembling with anticipation, was about to begin. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart, and glanced across the room at her mother. Claire was already awake, moving quietly, her expression calm but alert. "Morning," Emma whispered, her voice shaky. "Morning, sweetheart," Claire replied softly, giving her a reassuring smile. "Are you ready?" Emma nodded, though her stomach twisted with nerves. The idea of keeping their plan hidden from her father made every step feel heavier, but the thrill of it made her pulse quicken. There was an excitement in secrecy that she had never felt before, a mix of fear, exhilaration, and closeness with her mother that seemed to deepen with every glance and whisper. Breakfast was a delicate performance. Her father, John, sat at the table with his usual newspaper and cup of coffee, oblivious to the tension simmering just under the surface. Emma smiled politely, poured herself some juice, and exchanged a quick look with her mother. It was the kind of look that spoke volumes. Anticipation, reassurance, and the shared weight of their secret. They moved carefully through the house afterward. Claire had planned every small detail for the day, from hiding supplies in Emma's room to creating minor diversions to keep her father distracted. Emma followed her instructions perfectly, her movements precise and controlled, though a thrill ran through her with each successful step. Every time her father looked away, every time her brother wandered off into his own world, Emma felt a small rush of triumph. "Careful with that," Claire whispered when Emma lifted a small box of materials from the shelf. Her eyes were sharp, watching her daughter with a mix of pride and concern. One wrong move and he might notice. Stay calm. Emma swallowed hard and nodded. She had learned that her mother's calmness was contagious. With Claire guiding her, she felt braver, more confident than she had in years. Together they moved like a well-oiled machine, silent and precise, their bonds strengthened by the shared knowledge of the secret they carried. The afternoon arrived quickly, with sunlight filtering lazily through the windows and the smell of fresh bread lingering from lunch. Every ordinary moment, from her father reading the paper to the faint hum of the refrigerator, felt like part of a larger stage where Emma and Claire were performing the most important act of their lives. Emma felt her heart beating faster with every glance toward her mother, every whispered instruction, every tiny success in their careful execution of the plan. "You're doing well," Claire said quietly as Emma adjusted the placement of a hidden note in a book. "I'm proud of you. Keep focus. Remember, it's not just the plan, it's how we move, how we act. Perfect timing is everything." Emma nodded, the words giving her courage. The trust she felt in her mother was overwhelming, like a warm wave washing over her, keeping her steady even as her heart raced. It wasn't just about the plan anymore. It was about the connection, the intimacy, the quiet thrill of working together towards something only they could understand. By mid-afternoon, the tension in the house had grown. Emma felt like every sound, the floorboards creaking under her, father's feet, the faint ticking of the clock, even the rustle of leaves outside, was amplified in her ears. Every glance her father threw her way made her pulse jump. And yet, every time she caught her mother's eye, she felt reassured. They were in this together, and nothing could go wrong if they stayed careful. Leaned close and whispered instructions for the next stage. "Now we need to move quickly. Everything has to happen smoothly, Emma. Breathe, stay calm, and watch me. Follow my lead." Emma did exactly that. Every step, every motion, every glance was in perfect synchronization with her mother. They were a team, a unit, connected by a secret that no one else could share. The thrill of the hidden plan made her heart pound, and with each passing moment, her excitement grew. Dinner came, and it felt like walking a tightrope. Her father's eyes, kind but curious, flicked between them occasionally. Emma felt the familiar twist of guilt and fear, but she pushed it aside, focusing on the shared mission with her mother. They exchanged small, almost imperceptible glances across the table, and in those tiny moments, Emma felt a spark of triumph and intimacy that made the fear fade away. After dinner, the house quieted. Emma and Claire slipped away to a corner of the living room, whispering and adjusting the final details of the plan. The adrenaline from the day surged through them both, making their movements quicker, more precise. Each small task they completed was a victory, a testament to their trust in each other and their careful planning. "You're amazing," Claire said softly, her hand brushing Emma's for a fleeting second. "You've been so brave today." "I know it wasn't easy." Emma smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. "I trust you," she said quietly. "I want to do this with you." Their shared excitement mingled with nervous energy as the evening progressed. Every creak of the house, every sound from upstairs made Emma's pulse quicken, but it also reminded her of the closeness she shared with her mother, the silent understanding between them that no one else could penetrate. Then, just as the house seemed to settle, the phone rang. Emma's father answered, his voice steady but slightly tense. Emma's heart leapt into her throat. She could feel her mother's hand tighten briefly around hers, a small signal that the moment of calm was over, that they needed to stay sharp. Though Emma could feel the weight of the day pressing down on her, the thrill of secrecy mixing with a touch of fear. Every glance, every whisper, every careful movement had led to this moment. She realized that it wasn't just about the plan. It was about courage, trust, and the bond between her and her mother. The phone call ended, and her father seemed none the wiser. Emma exhaled slowly, feeling a rush of relief and triumph. They had made it through another stage of the plan, proving to themselves that their secrecy could hold. Later, as the house grew quiet and the shadows lengthened, Emma sat with her mother, feeling the adrenaline of the day settle into a warm, satisfying glow. "We did it," she whispered. Claire smiled, brushing a loose strand of hair from Emma's face. "Yes, we did. And tomorrow is when we see how far we can go. We're ready." Emma felt a thrill of anticipation, a mix of excitement and nervousness. They were close to the point of no return, and the thought made her heart pound. But more than anything, she felt the connection with her mother, the trust, the understanding, the shared adventure that no one else could touch. She lay in bed that night. Emma replayed the day in her mind. Every whisper, every glance, every careful step felt vivid and alive. She knew the next day would be even more important, even more thrilling. But for now, she let herself rest, cradled by the warmth of her mother's guidance and the exhilaration of their secret. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, carrying with it a promise of the unknown. Inside, Emma felt a quiet triumph. They had begun something extraordinary, and together, nothing seemed impossible. Tomorrow would test them even more, but for tonight, the secret was theirs alone, and that feeling, that rush of daring and connection, was enough. The night was quiet, almost unnaturally so, as Emma and her mother Claire moved carefully through the dimly lit house. The day had been a whirlwind of planning, whispers, and small victories, but now the moment had arrived. Every heartbeat seemed louder in the silence, every shadow a possible threat to the carefully guarded secret they had built over the past 24 hours. Emma's pulse raced as they stepped into the hall. Her father was already asleep, the soft rhythm of his breathing drifting from the study. The knowledge that he was unaware of their plans made her both anxious and exhilarated. Claire gave her a small, reassuring smile, the kind that promised everything would be okay. "Stay close," she whispered, and Emma nodded, tightening her grip on her mother's hand. They slipped out into the night, the cool air sharp against their skin. The streets were wet from the earlier rain, the lamplight reflecting off the puddles in long golden streaks. Emma felt alive in a way she never had before. The thrill of secrecy, the adrenaline of doing something forbidden yet harmless, coursed through her veins. For the first time, she felt like she and her mother were on an adventure together, connected by a bond deeper than words. "Are you nervous?" Claire asked softly, her voice almost blending with the rustling leaves. "A little," Emma admitted, though she smiled. "But I trust you. Completely." Claire's hand squeezed hers gently. "That's all that matters." They reached the small hidden spot they had been preparing for, a place that held the final step of their secret plan. Everything had to be precise. The timing, the movements, even the smallest gestures. Claire had guided Emma through every detail, teaching her patience, precision, and the subtle art of moving unnoticed. Emma's nerves were taut, but the trust she felt in her mother steadied her. Working together, they completed the first part of the plan quickly. Every small success made their hearts pound, the excitement mingling with fear. It was like dancing on the edge of a cliff, thrilling and terrifying at the same time. Each glance, each silent communication strengthened their bond. Emma realized that this was more than just the plan. It was the intimacy of shared courage, of secret victories that no one else could witness. Hours seemed to pass in moments. Every creak of the floor or distant bark of a dog made Emma tense, but Claire's calm presence was grounding. "Steady," she whispered, guiding Emma through the next step. Emma mirrored her movements, following her mother's lead perfectly. They were synchronized, a team in perfect harmony, hearts beating in unison. When the final step was complete, they paused, breathing heavily but smiling. The rush of adrenaline and triumph was intoxicating. For a moment they simply stood together, feeling the weight of the secret and the thrill of having executed it flawlessly. Emma leaned slightly into her mother, the closeness comforting and electrifying at the same time. "Forever," Claire whispered, echoing the silent promise they had shared since the very beginning. "Our secret stays hidden, Emma. No one will ever know." Emma smiled, her chest warm with a sense of pride and connection. "Forever," she echoed. In that moment, nothing else mattered. The risks, the fear, even the world outside. What they shared was theirs alone. A bond forged through trust, courage, and the thrill of secrecy. They returned to the house slowly, careful to leave no trace of their adventure. The streets were still, the lamplight casting long shadows that seemed to follow them home. Every step back was measured, every glance cautious. Yet the sense of triumph never left Emma. They had done it. They had succeeded. Inside, the house was still. Their father remained asleep, completely unaware of the events that had unfolded under his roof. Emma felt a rush of relief and pride. They had carried out their plan perfectly, proving to themselves that their secrecy could hold. More than that, they had strengthened the bond between mother and daughter in ways that words could never capture. Claire led Emma to the living room, where they sat together in silence, letting the warmth of their success sink in. "You did wonderfully today," Claire said softly, brushing a loose strand of hair from Emma's face. "I couldn't be prouder." Emma felt tears of joy prick at her eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you," she whispered. I never felt this close to anyone before." "That's because we trusted each other," Claire said, her voice gentle. "This isn't just about the plan, Emma. It's about courage, love, and the understanding that we can face anything together." They spent the next hour talking quietly, sharing stories and laughter that felt different now, more intimate, more precious. Every word, every glance, every small touch carried the weight of the day's adventure. Emma realized that their secret had become more than just a plan. It was a bridge, connecting her to her mother in a way she had never imagined. Possible. As the night deepened, Emma lay in her bed, the house silent around her. She thought about the day, about the careful movements, the whispered instructions, and the exhilaration of shared triumph. She thought about her father, completely unaware, and felt a mix of guilt and gratitude. The secret was theirs, and that alone made it powerful, thrilling, and unforgettable. The wind rustled outside, carrying with it a sense of possibility, of unknown adventures yet to come. Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her, the fear replaced by confidence and the warmth of connection. She knew tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests of their secrecy. But for now, she allowed herself to savor the victory, the bond, and the thrill of the hidden promise they shared. Claire's hand rested lightly on Emma's, even as they prepared to sleep, a final gesture of trust and reassurance. "No one will ever know," Claire whispered again, a soft, comforting promise. Emma closed her eyes, feeling the steady rhythm of her mother's hand, the warmth of their